Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by MacVoices Magazine, our free Flipboard magazine that brings you some of the best Mac, iPhone, and iPad productivity tips on the web. High in signal, low in noise, just like MacVoices, MacVoices Magazine includes information on how you can get more out of your Apple technology. Subscribe at macvoices.com/magazine or search for MacVoices Magazine on Flipboard. Welcome back to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're continuing down the road to Macstock, talking to all the presenters about what they're going to be presenting and therefore what you're going to be hearing and learning in Woodstock, Illinois in July. I know I can't wait because every time I talk to one of the speakers, I get more excited about it. And my biggest problem is going to be trying to figure which one of the deep dives I'm going to attend because, as I understand it, there will be parallel. So I'm going to be torn each and every time. This time, though, we get to talk to Mr. Brett Terpstra about his topic. Brett, welcome. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you, Chuck.
It's been too long. Where'd the time go?
I have no idea. I lose touch. It's probably my fault.
No, I don't think so. It's my problem too, because there seems to be so much going on right now. But we're here to talk about what will be going on in July. And I'm delighted that you're a speaker again.
I am very happy to have been accepted. I felt like I should be a shoo-in, but that's not always the case.
Well, and it's tough because Mike has had so many great speakers in the past.
I know, so many better speakers than me. Well, it's okay.
I'm not sure I'm buying that. But the idea this time that he decided to theme Macstock with the productivity theme, I admit, does really falls right down your alley.
Yeah, it almost seems too obvious. I think he wanted to start general because I feel like just about everyone talking this year is pretty smart in the productivity space.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's focused, but what I really like about it, though, and there's going to be some overlap. There can't help but be some overlap, but everybody's attacking either a different aspect of it or from just a little different angle, and I really like that.
Well, the array of personalities that are speaking and like each person's wheelhouse is vastly different. So yeah, it's attacking productivity from so many different angles that it'd be hard to overlap at all. It's a huge topic, it's a really general topic. You can be productive in anything you do and even on your Mac. So yeah, no, it's a great topic. Don't get me wrong. And the speakers are going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, too, though, that I think we all need to stress is that everybody is going to present something terrific, but not everything that's going to be presented is for everyone, that you have to pick and choose the things that really apply to you.
For the deep dives, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you going to tackle this year?
A topic that I have refrained from speaking on for quite some time, tagging. It's always, I've done a couple of Mac Power Users episodes on tagging. I write about tagging all the time. I have a half-finished book on tagging because it's a topic that I find fascinating, but the space has changed so much so rapidly, especially with Apple adding tagging to Finder and now to iOS. I've not wanted to put out anything concrete saying this is what you should do while the base of it was still unstable. But now it's stable, and I'm excited to be able to talk about my decade of tagging experience and nerdery.
I think we had a conversation once before, quite a while ago, and I remember you talking about that okay, tagging, you were concerned whether it was going to be something that Apple would continue offering in the operating system. And honestly, I didn't even know that tagging was now included in iOS. So you just taught me something right there.
Yeah, Apple has not made a big deal out of tagging, but if you go into the Files app, you can tag files there, and within seconds it shows up as tagged on your Mac and vice versa. And then you can sort and sift all of your files on iOS with tags. So while they don't give you a great option for deep folders, you do have great options for organization using tags, which is kind of the way I've always used them. So it's a perfect port.
I'm finding this really intriguing. This is just one more example of Apple seeming to try to achieve parity between the iOS and Mac OS platforms for a lot of productivity things, but a lot of functional things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my concern was that in order to achieve parity, they might decide to drop tagging. So brief history, like when we first started tagging, us Mac nerds, we were using Spotlight comments, and we would use symbols and words in Spotlight comments to make it searchable. Then along came Open Meta, which added extended attributes to files. So your tags were stored in a more stable fashion than Spotlight comments and attached to the files so that they would easily port to other Mac systems. And then things like Dropbox they had destroyed extended attributes, so your tags would be lost as soon as you put them in Dropbox. All of that got fixed in the meantime. And then a couple OSs ago, Apple added a very similar extended attribute. Open Meta had called it KOM user tags, and Apple changed it to just KMD item user keywords, I think. I lost track of the metadata query names there, but the keys are very similar, and it was easy to port all the Open Meta tags to Apple because they use the exact same implementation as Open Meta. And now tagging's a real thing that comes for everybody on everybody's computer, and everyone could be making use of it, but no one ever talks about it. So it's more useful than people realize because they don't know it's there.
Okay, so maybe we jumped ahead a little bit. Maybe we should tell the folks that haven't been here before or haven't paid attention to this what tagging is. I mean, we always say we don't want you to present the session here, but give them an idea since we're talking about tagging and it's been here and it hasn't been here and it's in iOS and all that. What is it?
Yeah, that reminds me, I should add that into my talk to talk about what tagging is. But it's you tag your photos. I'm sure you've added keywords to photos to help you find them later. When you write a blog post, if you're a blogger, you tag your post to make it easily sortable. Tagging is it's like putting something in a folder, except instead of putting it in a folder, you're just telling it what folders it would belong to. And therefore you can have multiple tags. So the file can exist in multiple quote unquote folders. At the same time, and you can have as many tags as you want. You can then do searches that are based on combinations of tags. I want to find all of this kind of file with this kind of tag, but not tagged with this. So you can make these into smart searches, and you can have folders in your sidebar and Finder that pull together these more complex searches. And for me, I never use folder systems more than 2 levels deep. And I do all of my searching with tags. I rarely drill into a folder to find a file. So it's a way of finding files. I think hashtags on Twitter, right? So something gets a hashtag, you can click that hashtag and suddenly see everyone's tweets about that topic. Same idea.
And your example of photos is perfect. And that's probably the one place where the average user may be familiar with tags or metadata, or call it whatever you will. That idea that I can assign something to it that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and that's both the beauty and the pitfall of tagging. Is you're adding a keyword that is intuitive for you, but you have to plan ahead. You can add a bunch of keywords and you can tag it with everything that you think makes sense. But then in a year, are you going to remember what those tags were? Like, they have to be, in order to find them again after a year, after they're no longer in your recent tags list, you have to have a system, which is what the talk's going to focus mostly on, is how to define a tagging system that you will be able to remember in a year. Because if you're not using folders and you're only using tags and then you forget your tags, you're not in a great space.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess I first became familiar with the concept of tagging when I moved over to Gmail, because in Gmail they call it labels. Labels, right. But I found that in the past, like so many people, I had filed things in folders, and a mail could either, you'd have to duplicate it and jump through a bunch of hoops if you wanted to put it in more than one folder. But
Right.
with labels, or in this case tags, you can tag or label it as much as you want, and then anytime you search on that or pick that label, everything comes crashing back out.
Yeah, and Gmail actually does allow for the same kind of complex searches where you could say, if it has both of these labels on it, I want to see it. Or if it has this label and doesn't contain this word, like, so you can use those in the same way you would build cool Spotlight folders.
Mm-hmm. Brett, this is one of those topics. Do you because you've referenced it as geekery and nerdery and all? Do you think that this is something that is maybe ready for prime time, ready for the closer to average user, whatever that means?
I do, and that is why I've waited like 6 years since I first started publicly talking about it to actually talk about it. I think that in the main presentation that I give in the main room will be something that is accessible to everybody and ways that people can start using tagging today, and without having to redo anything on their system. You don't have to move any files out of folders. You can tag right wherever the file is and still take advantage of all of it. My deep dive will go into more of the systems that I've set up, the ways that I tag via like Hazel and scripts. I tag via the command line. I have automated tagging and logic-based tagging. And if I want to put a file away at the end of the day, I save everything to my desktop. Then I go through and I tag things, and Hazel will automatically pick up, and based on the tags, it will file them in my system into actual folders, my shallow folder system. But they all just kind of get housekeeped away. Is that a verb? House.
It is now.
They get swept by Hazel. That's apropos. They get swept away. And so I have a general idea where they go, but I also don't need to know where they go because I can then easily find them by the tags that I just applied. So, yeah. So in answer to your question, yeah, there are aspects of it that everyone could take advantage of right now. And then there is a whole deep dive worth of stuff that we can start getting into.
God, there's so much stuff I'd like to ask about this, but I don't want to spoil the session, so I'm going to have to wait. But I will ask one thing that occurred to me when you said what you did. If I have a folder full of files right now, is there a way for me easily to bulk tag all those files with the same?
Yeah. Like in Finder with no special tools, you can just hit Command A, right click, choose tags. And when you add one tag, it'll tag everything selected. You can also bulk remove tags that way.
Okay. So that right there would make me inclined to say, okay, I could adopt tagging in a cursory fashion pretty quickly. I could go back and work off any backlog that I needed to, and I've got it. So, okay.
Yeah, and you can actually set up scripts so that if you tag a folder, something like Hazel or any Apple script can then tag everything in that folder with the same or a similar tag. So you can make tagging your entire file system pretty quick and painless. Assuming you're one of those people that has like taxes, PDF files, receipts, 2018, like that kind of file system setup where everything's already really organized, but it takes a while to drill into every folder. You could easily automate tagging that, and then you could just type a Spotlight search for 2018 receipts, and
this is going to be a fun session because it's one of those things. I've tried tagging and then I abandon it. Then I go back to it and I abandon it. And I've maybe if you can show me a system, a genuine system, top to bottom. Okay, this works. I'm thinking I file a lot of things in DevonThink, and that are OCR'd automatically, and it makes it a dream to try to find things. Mm-hmm. And then but you can't put everything in DevonThink. It just doesn't work. And there are times that you go looking for things in the Finder, and this would solve that issue. So,
yeah, well, and DevonThink can be is Spotlight compatible, so you can search for both your Finder files and your DevonThink notes all at the same time. And I mean, Spotlight. My talk last year was about Spotlight, and a lot of people don't realize the sheer magnitude of Spotlight's index. I mean, you can search for single words inside of PDFs and, like say anything created within this date containing this word and tagged with this. I want to see them in a smart folder here. And that kind of thing. I mean, Devon Think does a great job of automatically indexing, categorizing, and correlating documents. But that information is there in Spotlight too.
Your session on Spotlight last year was phenomenal. And the only thing that the depth of that indexing can be a problem, and you almost need to employ Boolean logic because if I search for a file that with dog in it, well, there are a lot of things that are going to pop up with dog, so I have to have dog, plus maybe the dog's name plus the location or the color or something to make it useful.
And the kind, right? Like if you just wanted to see photos of dog, you can like kind photo dog. Although iPhoto's like object recognition, so you can just type in dog and it shows you all the pictures. That's kind of amazing. That's the kind of automated tagging that I would love to see more of.
Yeah, and it's coming. I mean, we've now have the processes that are powerful enough, and you're starting to get the algorithms that are powerful enough, and you're not having to buy a lot of sophisticated software to do it. It's built right into the OS,
right,
or to some of these other programs.
And same with tagging. Like, in order for it to be of interest to more than just hardcore nerds, it has to be built in. It has to be something that you get for free, that's automatic, and then getting into a system like tagging where it does take some planning to make it truly useful. It's worth talking about because you don't have to tell people, all right, so here you're going to have to go buy this software. You're going to have to go through this process of setup. And now it's finally time because it's just there. I can just tell people, here, create this shortcut key and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially, as you said earlier, now with it being included in iOS, for those of us that kind of do round tripping and go back and forth. And is it safe to say, Brett, that if I tag something in a file and then move it to the Mac or tag it in Mac on the Mac and move it to my iOS device, the tags stay there?
Yep. It's using, like I said, the extended attributes on the file. So it's stored in the same place that it would store the file type. Like the same part of the file system that tells it this is a JPEG image now also stores the tags. And so it will follow it wherever you move it. And these days, for the most part, they even stay on the file if you transfer them to like a Windows formatted drive and back. Can't make any guarantees there, and you can't use them on Windows, so I wouldn't really mess around with it. But yeah, they stay with the file, and you can, if you put them in iCloud Drive and they show up on your phone, they'll have the tags. If you take them out, if you tag it on your phone and then take it out of iCloud on your computer, tags are still there.
Am I making this up, or do I remember there was an issue with Dropbox?
Yeah, Dropbox originally had been stripping, when it uploaded to the cloud, it was stripping off all the extended attributes. So then when it synced back, even if it was right on the same computer, when it synced back, it would strip the tags out. That was fixed years ago now. Okay.
That's one of those things you get in your head and you never follow up on. You maybe abandon something because it wasn't working.
Backblaze.
Yeah.
Backblaze had the issue too. Backblaze has also fixed it.
Yes. Okay. So tagging's time really has come.
Yeah. Everyone's ready for it. Okay. And when it showed it just in the most recent iOS is when files suddenly had a tag section. And now it's actually pretty prominent in the application. Once you've added a few tags, the very front screen of files now has a whole section where you can just tap a tag and see all the files with that tag. So Apple's not neglecting it. They're not pushing it, but I'm confident at this point that it's not going anywhere.
Well, it feels like one of those features that a certain level of user probably is not going to need to use because they're not going to have enough files or really have that many concerns. But it's a power feature that is built in for those who do need it or want it, and it's one you can grow into as well.
I don't know anyone who doesn't have enough files to tag. Does that happen?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can. There's some people that I know that I mean they. Listen, honestly, they'd probably be better off with an iPad because they do mail and web surfing and the occasional FaceTime with their grandkids. And, so
Well, you can tag on the iPad, so
you can tag on the iPads. Yes. All right. So Brett is going to talk about tagging. Wow, that's another great session. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I am very excited.
You should be. You should be. So, folks, we want you to join us in Woodstock, Illinois in July. Brett's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Bob, Dr. MacVoices is doing a keynote. Kelly Gamont, Gene McDonald, Adam Christensen. I can just go on and on and on. There's so many great people. People you already know their names. You probably see or read their stuff throughout the year, or hear their stuff, or watch their stuff. All going to be there, and we're going to have a great time. The best part, though, Brett, I know, every year I make new friends, and then I look forward to seeing them come back the following year. And that's another thing that's going to happen this year. I know there are people attending that I don't know, but I will by the end of the weekend, because it's not a 50,000 person conference. It's one that you really can get yet. But at this stage, you can get up close and personal with everybody, spend a lot of quality time with all these people, and really get to know them. And that's probably the best part.
Yeah. For me, the best part of Macworld was the social aspect, and Macstock has started to replace that for me, fill that void, getting together once a year with like Mac lovers, Apple lovers, and just see the people that I talk to online, but never see face to face, and catch up with them, meet new people. Yeah, it's a social event as much as it is a learning event for me.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. The oldest attendee last year I talked to her was 99, I believe, in her 90s, and the youngest I think was 14, something like that. There's no age, there's no reason not to come to Macstock and feel like you're not going to be part of the crowd, because you're among friends. These are your people, folks. So Mike has given everybody a code. That all the speakers that will give you the best deal out there. So if you want to use the MacVoices code, it is MacVoices. Brett, do you know your discount code?
Yeah, it's Indie Nerd, INDIE Nerd.
Great.
And mine's actually better. It's good for 10% off more than Chuck's is. So.
Okay, if it is, I'll
no,
have
that's
to,
not true.
It's
not true.
So whatever code you use, it'll get you the same price. It's the best price out there. It's equivalent to the very first early bird price, and that will remain good right before Macstock. So please, Macstock2018.com, register with Indie Nerd or MacVoices, get the best price. See us in Woodstock, Illinois. Brett, I can't wait.
Me either, Chuck.
Let's do it. We'll see you in July. Thanks so much, Brett.
No problem. Thank you.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We hope to see you. We really want to see you at Macstock in July. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our MacVoices Facebook group and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us at patreon.com/MacVoices and join these folks who help keep MacVoices coming to you. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.